Welcome back to another installment of Easy PPC tutorials. Now, today I want to talk about Google Partner and Premier Partner status and whether this is something you should put a lot of weight into when deciding whether or not to change to a new Google Ads management company or agency. And I'm just going to use the term agency as a generic term for this video, whether it's a freelancer or a small agency or a medium agency or a big one, whatever the case may be. I'll use the term agency. Just think about the context of the business you might be going to work with. Just agency is the term I'm going to use. And yeah, basically, should you worry about whether that agency you might be looking to work with has a Google partner or ideally a Premier partner status? So that's what I'm going to discuss today and give you my take on it. Now, for disclosure, I'm not a Google partner. I'm not a Premier partner for sure. My main business is not running this YouTube channel. My main business is acting as an independent sort of consultant and advisor for businesses who are paying for digital marketing, digital advertising, not really sure what they're getting, not sure if it's working for them or not sure if their activities align to their wider sort of sales and marketing and business strategy. So I'm not a kind of conventional Google Ads manager. I do a lot of work in Google Ads. I run campaigns for some of my own business interests. For example, I do run campaigns for some clients, depending on where they are at in terms of their resourcing of their digital activity. But I don't operate a conventional digital marketing agency. I'm not a sort of normal Google Ads freelancer. And that's one of the reasons why I've never chased Google partner or Premier partner status, because it really doesn't add any value to what I'm doing, because my whole shtick, my kind of value proposition is that I'm independent. I'm not going to recommend Google Ads if it's not the right opportunity or channel for your business. I'm not going to tell you to spend more with Google Ads if you should be spending less or maintaining your current spend. And I guess that's really the key thing, sort of leading on to whether or not Google partner and Premier partner status is important. If you were to listen to a Google partner or Premier partner agency, they're obviously going to tell you it's important. And they'll broadcast that message quite aggressively via, promotional content on their website. And, I've seen agencies have like Google partner badges printed on business cards and all sorts of things like that. There are certain rules I think Google sets out about how you can actually position yourself, but basically being in the partner and ideally a Premier partner database is something that agency owners will often take very, very seriously, and they'll push that hard. And there's a reason they're pushing that hard, because it looks good to a customer, right? Who do you want to pick? Who do you want to work with as a business owner looking for an agency to run your Google Ads? Do you want one that's got no real street cred, or do you want the one that's a Premier partner, which is like the Google Ads version of being a platinum gold status frequent flyer with an airline? You're like the sort of cream of the crop, basically. But does it actually make a difference to performance? Now, that's really the key thing. And in my experience, having audited and worked across numerous Google accounts and done independent analysis work when you're dealing with Google partners and Premier partners, and then without, businesses or agencies that just run Google Ads and they don't bother with the accreditation program, more often than not, there's not a huge difference in performance. Where the partner program, and particularly the Premier partner program, gives you the most sort of advantage as a client of one of these agencies, is that these companies, there's two things. One is that there is certainly going to be a level of familiarity and competence with the platform. That's actually quite key. There are, some fly-by-night operators out there in the digital marketing industry who will, have zero experience. They might have logged into Google Ads for the first time, but they're good at sales. And so they'll say, hey, we can run your Google Ads for you. And then they're just like shipping off the work overseas, offshoring it, running it through Fiverr, probably using ChatGPT these days or something like that to actually fulfill the work. And when you're working with a Google partner or Premier partner, you're not going to be getting that kind of situation, or at least you shouldn't be. So there is a sort of argument there that is a demonstration of at least like a level of credibility, in the same way that having a driver's license doesn't necessarily mean you're a good driver, but it means you have demonstrated to someone in some position of authority somewhere that you're somewhat competent behind the wheel. The other aspect of the partnership, and particularly Premier partner status, is that partners and Premier partners for sure get access generally to better quality support. So there are kind of like elevated support mechanisms they can go through to access better support for their clients. Now, if you've run Google Ads for your own business, you'll know just how rubbish the support system is. It's not as bad as Meta, as Facebook, which is just so bad it's not even funny. But certainly trying to get support with Google Ads can be a real challenge. Whereas partner agencies and the higher level Premier partner agencies especially can access superior support depending on the context and their status and so on. And if you're a client, that might be beneficial. So you might be having an issue with ads that keep being disapproved, and the premier partner agency that you might work with, they can kind of leverage their good reputation and status with Google and basically use that to actually help you get better support. So there are some arguments there, but in terms of the actual performance element, does working with a premier partner or a normal Google partner guarantee you better performance? No, it doesn't. And in fact, it's not necessarily from a perspective of kind of independent insight, anything that's really to write home about. And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. One is that to become a Google partner, there are these different recommendations or sort of requirements, I should say, that you have to have. So they're categorized into three levels: performance, spend, and certification. Now, performance, I'll just read Google's spiel here. The performance requirement helps ensure that you, as a potential agency, partner agency, can effectively set up and optimally run Google Ads campaigns to achieve greatest results for your clients. Your Google Partners Registered Ads Manager, that's your account under which your client account sits, needs to have a minimum optimization score of 70%. You're in control with the ability to apply or dismiss recommendations based on your assessment and client goals. Now, long story short, what that means is that in order to qualify as a partner, potentially a premier partner, Google wants you to maintain at least a 70% optimization score of your client accounts, basically. So Google wants you to be using their optimization score tool and the recommendations that come with those as a bit of a yardstick for how you're running your ads. Now, I've talked about this in the past. I hammer the point home to the clients I'm doing consulting work with. Google's recommendations do not always align with your best interest as an advertiser. In fact, more often than not, they don't. And so the problem with this is that Google is basically saying, hey, if you want to partner with us, if you want to be a Google partner, we kind of expect you to run your ads in the way that we want you to do so. And we want you to run them in such a way that you achieve a minimum optimization score. And whether or not that's necessarily the best thing for the client is not actually the point. We want you to be using the features that we're pushing, because that's really what the recommendation system is typically about. It's about pushing the features that Google wants you to use, or about trying to get you to spend more money, which I'll come to in a moment. Now, there's actually a bit of weasel wording or kind of confusing wording here. In effect, my understanding is that partner agencies can kind of ignore these performance recommendations if they want to, because you can dismiss them, at least for the moment. There was talk at one point of Google basically saying you have to maintain a minimum optimization score and you have to actually implement recommendations to get to that point, not just dismiss them. And there was so much pushback from agencies basically saying, look, this strips the last of any kind of independence and objectivity from us if the only way we can keep our partner status is to actually do everything that you say. So it's good that agencies push back there. Google softened their position a bit, but still you can see the kind of general theme of what they want, which is they want you to basically run your ads in such a way that you potentially put Google's interests first. Whereas a normal agency that isn't a Google partner doesn't have to worry about this. They can just say, hey, ignore Google's recommendations. I've seen campaigns where just about every recommendation is ignored. It's got like a 10% optimization score, and their campaign's still doing really well. I've seen campaigns with 100% optimization score that are total dogs and not delivering any value for the client. So this piece here, although there are workarounds for ethical agencies that want to give their clients the best while still qualify with Google's requirements, it's still not great in my view from a sort of objectivity perspective. And Google over time, I guarantee you, will push again towards making partner agencies have to implement recommendations to a certain level rather than just being able to dismiss them. So there's that aspect there, which is that Google doesn't necessarily have your best interests at heart, but they expect partners to kind of operate in a way that positions Google as doing so. The other piece to look at is this spend aspect. So to become a normal Google partner, you need to maintain a 90-day ad spend of 10,000 USD across your managed accounts. That's pretty innocuous. It's pretty innocent, right? But to become a premier partner, you need to be in the top 3% of participating companies within a given country determined annually. And there are various factors. They're not exact factors, and they include but not limited to existing client growth. And this is the one that kind of gets me a little bit from the premier partner perspective. is that Google's yardstick of whether you're a good candidate for a Premier Partner or not, one of the yardsticks at least, is measuring year-on-year ad spend growth and ad spend among your existing clients. So what Google's basically saying is, if you can get clients to spend more money, you're more likely to become a Premier Partner. But in my view, a sort of honest and ethical Premier Partner program should be that this agency or this freelancer or this business is doing whatever needs to be done to get the best possible performance for the client. And that doesn't always entail spending more. That's the key issue here, is that the measurement of success is just getting you to spend more money with Google or getting the clients to spend more money with Google. So the whole sort of, aspect of that, in my view, potentially negates some of the value and objectivity of the Premier Partner program and the wider partners program, because Google basically wants you to get clients to spend more money, even if it's not necessarily in that client's best interest. And that's where you can, also then kind of get this double whammy of agencies that do things like bill a percentage of media spend with a view to always be saying, oh, well, you need to be increasing your media spend because then they get a larger sort of revenue month on month or year on year. So just something to bear in mind there. Another piece is product diversification as well. So Google wants Premier Partners or Premier Partner candidates to basically use all of the different options that exist within Google's ad ecosystem and to not just rely on search. But if you've got clients that are primarily search focused and you're pushing them towards YouTube or display or DV360 or shopping, even if they're not a good fit, just so you can become a Premier Partner, that's the sort of thing Google wants you to do, but is it acting in the client's best interest? So just another thing to think about as well. So yeah, the partner program, if you're sitting there as a business thinking of actually acquiring or hiring a new agency or swapping agency, or you're picking one for the first time, look at the Google Partner and Premier Partner status as, I guess, really like a measurement of this agency is doing a certain level of business with Google Ads. They've obviously got a certain level of expertise, but it is not the be-all and end-all. It's not the only way to determine if a Google Ads agency is going to be the right fit for you and get you good results. I've seen freelancers who have, not even like a proper email address for their Google Ads account. They're running through a Gmail rather than a, Google Workspace account, do amazing work when I audit the campaigns as part of my, consulting work. And I've seen Premier Partner agencies doing some pretty average rubbish stuff with poor ROI. I've also seen the opposite scenario play out. So don't take it as the be-all and end-all. Do not think that just because you're hiring a Google Partner or a Google Premier Partner, and trust me, these agencies tend to really make a song and dance about this, that you're going to be getting better performance. Now, if you've got any questions on this, please do let me know. At a high level, it's all about the fact that the sort of symbiotic relationship between Google Partners and Google doesn't necessarily reflect the best interests of you, the advertiser. But if you do have further questions, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.